They kicked her out. That being Vivi-chan the Dragon, a VTuber for numerous years now, and for the past 2 years, hosting panels and emceeing at various conventions, including multiple times at the VTuber convention Offkai, but also streamer conventions like TwitchCon. This now bringing us over to MagFest, a network of conventions that has their biggest convention coming up this January, held on the East Coast of the United States and expecting an attendance of over 25,000. Vivi-chan in the past year not only emceeing for MagFest, but also holding a panel to great success at their Mag West event. So it came as little surprise that they were announcing she would be an official guest as part of their main MagFest event coming up here on the East Coast in January. This tweet going out and saying Vivi is a dragon VTuber that was born, more on that in a moment, into our human world in 2020. And for 5 years, she's been bringing her quirky humor to her live streams. Her streams focus on social games and hanging with her community. Then posting this image with their logo and also Vivi's avatar. So it came as a surprise to everyone, including Vivi-chan, when on the official Discord, this was posted. MagFest here saying Vivi-chan is no longer a guest at Super MagFest 2026. We are taking the current situation seriously and we'll be discussing it more internally, which may take some time. And now just for context, here once again is the avatar for Vivi-chan. She's been using this for years. Vivi herself for years on end, making clear that she does not want to call herself or label herself as a lowly, but still angling into the subversive humor side of things, putting boba and a cat on the t-shirt. This apparently being too much for those on the East Coast, as here we have an administrator on a 21 plus Facebook group for MagFest, posting this year's MagFest guests are getting extra sus and weird. I'm not feeling this one. Is this really what the VTuber crowd enjoys watching? Sources within MagFest reaching out to TVS and making clear that this 21 plus Facebook group is unofficial, that many within MagFest do not even like this group, and yet in this instance have ceded power to them. The same administrator saying, I'm making memes until we get an official MagFest response. Where's the accountability? Others responding, keep anime out of MagFest. Nah, keep VTubers out of MagFest. Alongside, the knights in here defending this weirdo need to be criminally investigated. And then another Facebook group for the 31 plus crowd posting, I feel sick to my stomach over this VTuber situation. It's killed any excitement I had for the event. Users on the Discord saying, so the sus VTuber is in this Discord. And the mod team responding, the mod team is aware. We're waiting for an official answer on what's to happen next. One user time and time again simply posting lowlies go home. Others saying Vivi is a actual child. And also remarking VTuber that is quote unquote 5 in lore. It's going back to the announcement with wording that was not provided by Vivi, as MagFest will say to the otherwise, using terminology of born into our human world in 2020, once again giving people the impression that she is saying her age is only 5. MagFest officially sending out this statement with no external links. You simply have to have this link available to yourself to even access it, remarking we want to acknowledge and apologize for a recent social media post promoting a guest whose avatar imagery included sexualized elements that when viewed in the broader context could be perceived as underage. That should not have happened. While the creator is an adult, we recognize that the content as presented on our platform was inappropriate. After evaluating the post internally and in light of community feedback, we determined that this was a failure in our review process. As a result, Vivi will no longer be appearing at Super MagFest 2026. This decision is not a statement of intent or character, but a recognition that we need better procedures with regarding to booking and specifically with the 18 plus VTuber community. The statement even going further, MagFest does not allow sexualized depictions of minors, implied or otherwise. Additionally, we have a responsibility to ensure the safety of our guests and attendees. We're currently reinforcing our internal review and booking guidelines to prevent this from happening again. And to be crystal clear, as described by Vivi-chan when she stopped by the TVS stream on our Twitch channel, hit our socials with the link below. As with every single convention appearance she's had before, she actually had no intention as appearing as her VTuber self, but instead simply taking the stage as her IRL self, as seen here in another event alongside Coefficient, where the two were emceeing to the crowd. But none of this was ever made clear to those externally or even internally. TVS being forwarded from a source, internal communications at MagFest, as seen here. This internal work group having one user here saying, not trying to be weird, but how did that VTuber guest get so far through the wickets when their avatar is a child and their Instagram account has all actual content? content. I'm glad she got taken down, but I would expect a lot of questions from folks about her attendance and how she was picked as a guest, when with a casual look you can tell she is not family friendly. This message within the internal workspace of MagFest receiving 20 "this" replies and 7 "yikes" replies. Another asking, how can we access this from the main page without the direct URL? And another individual here internally coming back with what Vivi was telling her fan base, saying that guests themselves say they will still receive a badge, room, etc. from the organization even if they aren't officially appearing. Can we confirm if that is still the case? Another individual here internally saying they're no longer receiving a badge or room and are no longer attending the event. They're aware of this and will likely address their community about that. Once again, we have another individual asking, what about a access from the main page without the direct URL? This post from MagFest, just for clarification's sake, being posted late on a Friday night Eastern time, a timing that is often seen as an opportune time to bury information. Internally, MagFest saying, to clarify, we're not planning on making a standalone social media post, and we would ask that staff don't either. Another individual checking on the 21 plus Facebook group, which this internal group has given so much power to, saying it's been posted there by someone. And then also following up with what Vivi Chan had publicly announced, Vivi remarking, due to some perceptions that I present as a actualized minor, which I vehemently disagree with, the MagFest board has determined that for my safety that I will not attend Super MagFest. Internally, once again, MagFest saying they will not have any official standalone post that has a high chance of a Streisand effect. And then another individual going on to pat themselves on the back with how well they handled this, saying, I do want to say thank you to everyone involved for putting in so much work on it. I think the statement is actually very nicely crafted and addresses the concerns while also still being respectful of Vivi-chan. This all once again bringing into stark contrast all of the work the VTubers still have to do to be in events such as this one. In years past, having great success with anime conventions and of course their own VTuber conventions, showing there is not only interest, but these conventions far and away running circles around both comic book and also gaming conventions that simply have put in no time or effort to understand VTubers. And in this case, even as a East Coast native myself, I have to say, East Coast is now least coast. I can't believe I'm saying this. And West Coast is best coast. So once again, if anyone is now asking why are any of the good VTuber conventions and shows on the West Coast, here now is exhibit 903. Meanwhile, we also have this exhibit that's Beyond the Veil, a new anime and webcomic universe starring mythic talent creators, including yours truly, Lord Aethelston, Queso, and Sarwe making their recent appearances. Check it out with the link below. As now we return to ironmouse. Loads of backlash earlier this month coming her way as she had attempted to defend the Burnt Peanut for winning the Best VTuber Award at the Streamer Awards. And then in mid-December, still continuing to receive heat. This individual saying, not even throwing a fit, I'm just D-as not understanding how is this not based on an Asian 17-year-old girl bro. Receiving this reply, if you see an anime character and automatically assume that it's underage, especially if the artist and character designer have never stated that it is the intent, you're weird and being malicious and obtuse on purpose to imply someone is a PDF. Lots of discourse swirling all around on Twitter regarding this, including Savi here, remarking, every time I post on Instagram, there's always like a bunch of normies telling me that I draw lolies and should not be allowed near children because I draw cute-looking girls. That has also, as seen in our last episode, the meeting between Ray and Rakai with ironmouse at the Streamer Awards. ironmouse later taking to stream and saying that she was very uncomfortable and even left shaking from this exchange. Ray in the past being a 20-year-old man that had questioned ironmouse's results and asking how could she have possibly have topped Kai Sanat during her subathon, and then reacting to this and saying in his native language very derogatory terms about ironmouse. Meanwhile, Rakai, not only now still being banned from the main Twitch platform until January 1st, but also being a man of only 17 years old. Once again, the IRL streamers bringing in an underage individual, and yet taking time to point at the VTubers and saying they're the ones that are dangerous for children. One count recently coming on numerous feeds, that being Squidemy, constantly lampooning VTubers. That exchange between the three also bringing up the subject of race, and one user saying this doesn't really work because regardless of race, I don't think there's a single IRL streamer that doesn't give off the vibe that they'd murder you live on stream just to boost viewership by 5% and to feel something again. The 17-year-old streamer Rakai also seeing what ironmouse had said and then quote-unquote crashing out. This is then leading to an absolute clown car of IRL streamers coming out of the woodwork to give their opinion on all of this, including amalgamations who call themselves humans like XQC and even Ice Poseidon. I thought he was dead. One content creator with their response here saying ironmouse must be stopped. TDogVA responding to this with, I wish I had the confidence to make videos and not know the bare effing minimum. Numerous VTubers taking to Twitter around this time to give their take on why they're a VTuber or to push back on the numerous arguments they hear over the years about VTubers. Nakamura here with, quote, I became a VTuber for privacy, or quote, I became a VTuber for accessibility. This BatTuber responding, yeah, well, I became a VTuber so I could stream in my PJs with 7-day unwashed hair. We are not the same. This, of course, leading to the circular 4 arguments you always hear about VTubers, that firstly, they are all men. If they are not a man, they are an ugly woman. If they're not an ugly woman, they spent 50,000 plus US dollars for their model, and in every instance, they're simply targeting children. Lucius Merriweather posting, I don't understand where all VTubers are 40-year-old men assumption is coming from. Is it so strange to imagine girls want to be pretty anime characters? Anime has always been popular with both genders. Lucy Pyre responding to Mary with, shut up, bro, I bet you're secretly a man behind the screen. As Ibibisu, also with VLur here, is saying VTubers are all gross 40-year-old male losers. I know because I'm also a 40-year-old man that infiltrated a female-only VTuber agency, and it turns out all the girls were also 40-year-old men too. With Ugu Bear getting to the heart of the matter, simply saying GTA RP is the same as VTubing, but y'all ate that S up. But here's something to chew on from Layla Darling here, saying, I've been streaming since 2018 prior to VTubing. I did show my real face online. I've had several nasty comments in chat from viewers saying I'm ugly, actualizing me when I was wearing hoodies and was completely covered up, and even people being low-key stalkerish towards me, my family, and my partner at the time. It was enough to make me take an 8-month streaming hiatus and question if I even wanted to continue. VTubing made it easier for me to gain my confidence back in doing something I loved for a long time. It made it comfortable and safe again after ruining my self-esteem and mental health. Nobody prepares you for how awful the internet is and how cruel people can be. All the while, ironmouse's art tag had been having some issues with AI generated and traced or stolen art, and even those posting legitimate art were being hit with accusations. But the roller coaster in December did not end there for ironmouse, as here we have Blue Archive. As here now we have this promotion from Blue Archive regarding Twitch drops, showing off 4 streamers who would be participating, that including not only Zentreya, but also ironmouse, likely here intending to co-collab alongside CDogVA at the same time, alongside his trash taste co-host, Gigic, originally planning to host his stream the day this was posted. Blue Archive fans seeing this and pushing back. And within only a matter of hours, Blue Archive simply canceling this influencer campaign. One account remarking Blue Archive announces collaboration with streamers, plural, who called the players PDFs. Fans get outraged, they cancel the collaboration immediately. Don't let anyone tell you your voice doesn't matter, because it does. This not quite lining up with the reality of the situation. ironmouse herself actually being one of the biggest influencers who had already collaborated with Blue Archive not once, not twice, but 3 times. Twice earlier in July of this year, 2025, when the game released on Steam, but even earlier in February of 2023. More pointed criticisms of this influencer campaign being targeted more toward CDogVA and his perceived dislike of lowly culture. Zentreya going ahead and brushing it off and moving on, saying, oh well, always next time, no biggie and understandable. I'd rather it go to someone who's played non-stop, perfectly reasonable. I'm going to keep playing Blue Archive though, because it's another gacha I'm actually enjoying. Then also this past weekend, attending a holiday meet and greet. That being at Holiday Matsuri in Florida, which, get this, is an anime gaming gaming and cosplay convention. Wow, a convention with VTubers. How about that? Dozens of VTubers making their appearance over the weekend at this convention. Poor Ashton Martin even having one of her standees ran over and even leaving a tire tread mark across her face. This, as most of the VTuber presence was hosted by Virtual Express on both Saturday and the prior day here on Friday, including an ironmouse panel. Mouse also taking part in the Virtual Revolution concert. Numerous VTubers applying for slots in this concert, and many unfortunately being turned down, hoping that in the future they can see a different mix in many of these VTuber convention concerts. Ironmouse herself saying thanks so much to everyone who came to the panel and meet and greet today at Holiday Matsuri. Getting to see your faces and hear your kind words means the world to me. Thank you for making my holidays bright and changing my life. As also on hand at Holiday Matsuri was Jean Wanwan, showing off some Nimi Nightmare cosplay, along with also sharing I may or may not have had the pleasure of not only the meeting of Ironmouse, but also emceeing her Q&A panel. Yes, I gushed about Latina representation. I love her so much. We also have the highly trained Seal, Rera, sharing here a photo of herself and Ironmouse and remarking, thank you for being my inspiration and complimenting my dress. I'm so sorry I almost started crying. About saying it was such a pleasure meeting you, and I am so glad you got to enjoy the convention. Thank you for taking the time to come talk to me. I am honored. Meanwhile, elsewhere we have Anabe here singing with Baby No Money as Ironmouse. Baby No Money and Ironmouse also recently appearing in a virtual concert within the game Peak. As also within that, players could actually obtain a secret Ironmouse wig by pressing the 7 key on their keyboard 7 times. The studio behind this game saying, we added this and only told Ironmouse, but we really thought you guys wouldn't find it, to be honest. This as all the while, Sea-Dog, VA, and Ironmouse are actually having their collab cafe in Akihabara extended all the way out now until February 1st of 2026. Once again, that being located at the Honey Toast Cafe. Well, next up today, we turn to First Stage Production English, a VTuber agency operated by Reality Studios with both English and Japanese branches. This all regarding one of their talents, that being Nyx Voltare, a British cyborg as part of their second generation Ravenous. But if fans are going out to their YouTube, they are unfortunately going to see a blank page as of today. Many taking notice last month on November 19th, seeing this official statement from First Stage Production, remarking, we regret to inform you that we made the difficult decision to cancel the 3D debut of our talent Nyx, which was previously scheduled to take place on November 21st. Despite repeated attempts to contact him over the past several days, Nyx had not responded or communicated with FSP staff until today, when he informed us he did not board his flight to Japan and wishes to cancel his 3D debut. Unfortunately, we are unable to proceed with our preparations without him and have no choice but to cancel the production entirely. We understand this unfortunate development will disappoint everyone who was looking forward to this event, and we assure you this was not a decision made lightly. There are currently no plans to reschedule Nyx's 3D debut for a later date. Many fans of FSP and Nyx wondering if all of that detail had to be shared. Others arguing that this is the transparency they expected. Nyx later tweeting out, I'm okay. Once I'm in a better headspace, I would like to address everything properly and give you all an explanation to the events that led up to this happening a second time. First instance, allegedly being in the earlier summertime, being a hiatus that he was made to take. Nyx here further saying, for now though, I think it's important that I at least let you know that I'm fine and everything is going to be all right. Secondly, please don't spread any misinformation, make any assumptions, or point any fingers about anything regardless of this announcement. It was worded poorly. I very much agree. Once again, this being an agency VTuber saying his agency had worded their statement poorly, but also saying of his agency, I know FSP have never and will never say anything like this with any ill intent. No one is to blame for this but myself. Fast forward to December 13th, and here we have some pieces of merchandise, including Nyx and his gen members, but Nyx not being a part of other pieces of merchandise, including a voice pack. Another member of Nyx's gen, Ravenous, saying that Nyx had simply not submitted any voice segments for this voice pack. At the time, not making clear if this was simply management telling him this or if that was his first-hand impression. As here now we have this entirely alternate account out of the United Kingdom, leaving a 3.5-minute video here now transcribed, saying, hello everyone, my name is Nyx Voltare. Today I found out that FSP want me to leave. Before anything happens, I want you guys to know that they canceled the meet and greet. They removed everything. They took my songs away that I recorded for the concert. I begged them to let me do the meet and greet, and that was all I wanted. You guys were the only thing keeping me going, and they didn't even let me have that. They called everyone who were planning to graduate me and everyone everyone just removed me from everything. No one said anything to me. No one said bye. They deleted all the DMs, everything. I've been left on my own this entire whole month. I can't do this anymore. Many suspecting there was something amiss even last month. Jen Ravenous not going forward with plans for their 1-year hashtag. Other members of FSP during this day also going on to simply cancel their streams. Nick's on his out account further defending himself, saying, I have a lot of things to say and it's not pretty. I warned them that this was going to happen and no one took it seriously the week leading up to my flight. I didn't just decide not to turn up and ghost them for weeks. It was a couple of days. I offered to pay for the flight and to do the entire meet and greet for free so they could recoup as much money as they could. It fell on deaf ears no matter how much I pleaded. The reason, they thought I was going to use that time meeting you to S-talk the company. I am not effing joking. I offered to record everything in 2D prior to the concert. Whole songs, even in JP even, removed. That's what management told me. Adding further, no, I didn't get deleted from the Corpo DMs. This was a past life nuking. I can only assume management has been feeding them lies that mean likely the other talents within FSP, and they are scared I'm going to leak something. My DMs are always open, boys. You could have just spoken to me even once, but I will wait for their side of the story before I pass judgment, but I cannot say I don't feel effing betrayed. Nick's later on his out saying, I managed to get some sleep and take a lot of time to think and reflect. I don't blame anyone for protecting themselves. Support your Oshi and don't bring anything into their space. Let them continue to live their dreams, even if it wasn't meant to be for me. As here now, we have what many suspected would occur, the notification of Nick's contract termination. FSP here announcing that as of December 23rd, they have terminated Nick's, remarking this decision was made after an extended period of internal review and repeated attempts to address ongoing operational and contractual issues. Despite multiple attempts to resolve these matters through communication and support, we've determined that it no longer is feasible to continue our contract due to violations of contractual terms and confidentiality requirements. And here we are once again with yet another instance of a VTuber agency giving us a bullet point list. You can't even make this up. A bullet point list of the reasons why they are terminating their VTuber, saying this is for clarity and that the factors that led to this decision include, but are not limited to, repeated violations of copyright-related policies, ongoing failure to attend scheduled meetings, respond to calls or messages, or maintain consistent communication, failure to meet several project deadlines, including group projects involving management and fellow talents, canceling appointments with external parties, confronting the company and his fellow talents with threats of immediate graduation, and canceling scheduled trips, plural, to Japan for his 3D debut in both August and November of 2025 without any prior notice. FSP fans and those from the outside looking in, holding different views on this termination. Some remarking once again that giving a bullet point list for a VTuber's termination is not the type of transparency they are looking for, but also even before the termination statement, understanding that perhaps Nick's was not going to last much longer within first stage production English. User Rednew here saying, I doubt it would change any fans' minds, but for anyone covering this topic, I auditioned plus interviewed for this role. The application questionnaire asks if you have a valid ID or passport. The interview I had included questions regarding ability to travel to Japan. I would be surprised if his contract didn't include obligations to travel, since accepting the role likely means going to Japan shortly after hire in order to record the group debut song. FSP perhaps could have handled it differently and perhaps shouldn't have hired him, but he's not blameless. Also listing reasons to terminate is necessary since Nick's made this incident public initially. Reno here also giving quote-unquote proof that he interviewed and these notifications within their inbox. Other sounds within FSP saying things to the effect of this: remember Oshi marks, names, and profile pictures label you a representative of my community. You are not invisible. I do not condone any vitriolic or hateful statements aimed at me, other boys, or management. Be kind to yourself, us, and each other. Nick's also coming to the realization that so many now newly indie individuals realize that they don't need permissions anymore for games. Meanwhile, we also have Fangsie Fido, this VTuber with the Variance project agency. Vari Pro earlier giving us this notice, unexpectedly letting us know that Fangsie Fido was under a 1-week suspension. Many surprised that this agency would come forward with this information, and wondering also, how does a VTuber come back from being admonished by their own agency like this? And no, you can't make it up. It's not just one, but now we have two termination notices in a bullet point format. Variance project saying, after careful consideration, we made the difficult decision to terminate Fangsie Fido. This is made after thorough review of the following infractions, including public breach of NDA and confidential information, failure to uphold contractual obligations, and ongoing behavioral issues internally. Also saying, Fangsie has chosen not to have a final stream at this time, and we will respect her wishes. Who's also soon to go on hiatus is Usan, now giving us notice of an indefinite hiatus, saying, thank you always for supporting and believing in me. After 3 years of activities as unnamed, I want to share something important with you. Starting December 21st, I'll be taking an indefinite hiatus. YouTubing and music are places that accepted me when I felt lost and reminded me that I was allowed to exist as myself. Lately, my body has been sending me signs that I can no longer ignore. If I keep moving forward without listening, I'm afraid I might lose the part of me that truly loves music. Usan receiving a farewell tatsu, and also that being attended even by Hololive English members like Narissa Ravencroft and Elizabeth Rose Bloodflame. This as numerous VTubers in and outside of the corpo and indie scenes were watching the debut, or should we say re-debut, of the President, that being the President Idol, Fuzuki Miki. This indie VTuber having been on a long hiatus for a number of years now. TVS now ready to expose this VTuber and where they had been since, that's right, they were in a corporation, an agency, as Kirihime Ria. That's right, the Cinderia rat. Oh, and after that, she was also resume Lovelock at Niji Sanji English for a few years, but you know, who knew? This re-debut being a smashing success, coming up to a 7,400 concurrent viewership. As also debuting is Crocodile, full name being Kairyu Crocodile, the newest and fourth member of the Beasties group. Originally, these individuals intending to debut alongside V Shoujo before their collapse. Numerous fans of this VTuber trying to inform the fan base to simply refer to this VTuber as Crocodile and not as their past life self. That being Jaden Animations. It's Jaden. We knew it. You knew it. That's why this YouTube account with 4 videos has over 360,000 subscribers, and why her pre-made video debut of less than 15 minutes has 1.3 million views. However, even within our own meta content sphere here at TBS, it makes perfect sense simply now to refer to Crocodile simply as Crocodile. This potentially being one of the goals of Crocodile, as to reinvent themselves and simply inhabit this new VTuber self. But also, it's probably just more fun this way. Pepe explaining to one individual why this is still a thing even outside of corpo VTubing, saying it's gotten pretty dependent on the VTuber, but in general, one reason in the West is there is a presumed level of in-character. So for some creators, it can be uncomfortable to have their real/alternate identity brought up in a space where they're in character. Hence why going to Crocodile's community, either in a Discord, on Twitter, or in their chat, if they ever stream, and referring to themselves as anything but Crocodile is perhaps against their wishes and against the whole spirit of what's happening here. But continuing, there's the corporate side where it can be as simple, not wanting to mix personal and professional life. On the indie side, and even in some corpos, but less common, some people are acting as entirely different genders or exploring different parts of their identities. They might not want to appear in a Google search of their real name or a name that's linked to their real name in some manner. Milky Box Boy here saying, had the huge honor to mold and dress up Kairyu for the big spotlight. Also having the huge honor to work on Kairyu's model was Nanolus. Miss Cinder, get down! Remarking, thank you so much for working with me and congrats on your debut. Seal Hair also showing how to rig a punch animation. As now we move over to Pippa's agency, that being Face Connect. Recently holding a 3D concert for their Invader's Wish gen, and also now confirming Phasecon is real. That's right, Phasecon 2026 is happening. That dated from June 13th to the 14th. Hyatt.com listing this as the Face Connect VTuber Convention of 2026 at the Hyatt Regency San Francisco Airport. Face Connect Leah getting into the spirit of the season, saying Phasecon during Pride Month. That's coming up even sooner than that is the delayed but now confirmed to still be happening debut of Anyan Abyss. That now set for January 17th. All the while, we also have Amanagawa Sheena releasing a brand new original song alongside a brand new original look and brand new original outfit debut merch. Sheena saying the dockie's perfect, guys. Please open wallet. As also on sale from Phase is the Season of Frost holiday merchandise line. Well, here now with breaking news is Kamachi Ponko. This Phase Connect member not only celebrating over 100,000 subscribers, but also 3,000 memberships. And seen here ripping off the band-aid and exposing the CEO of Phase Connect. Here now with my experience with Kevin H2O Sakana Lee, linking to a Google Docky. This multi-page 2-page document here, beginning with the document constitutes a formal account of multiple incidents involving the chief executive officer, whose conduct has resulted in confusion, emotional distress, ethical inconsistency, and the deliberate devaluation of fictional resources, listing such incidents as workplace harassment, further financial impact resulting from misleading guidance, an entire ethical contradiction regarding game integrity, once again highlighting the CEO had been fully called out by Azure Lane for outright cheating in their very real and very serious game. Ponko further here, alleging psychological provocation through strategically useless point allocation. DePonk lastly stating this document is submitted not out of hostility, but out of sincere desire for clarity, fairness, and the prevention of further CEO-induced nonsense. I trust this statement will be acknowledged and reviewed with the seriousness it deserves. Lastly, ending here with Beach. Phase Connect may never recover. In other news, Neurosama has now set the all-time record for the largest hype train ever on Twitch.tv, hitting 99% into level 123. Previous hype train record being set earlier this year by Neurosama. This topping out at over 1 million bits and 118,000 subs. Also tonight, of course, we have the annual Christmas concert by Obaki Pam. Pam saying, for time tracked, I put in over 270 hours into it this month, not to mention the countless hours everyone else put into it as well. Then as we are all bracing for impact, Amane Kanata with Hololive Japan is still set, of course, to graduate. As that is all for this episode. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe below. Send in your VTuber news to our Discord, as we'll have more things VTubers say for you soon.